There are a lot of packages with the low-cost carriers where they bundle things up these days. So I think book a bag that goes in the hold. It cuts out so much stress. The stress of having to work out what liquids go in where, what measurements are, the fact of having to drag it all the way to the aircraft to put it in an overhead locker, to actually find a space in an overhead locker. So that's one of the first things. Book a hold baggage and try and get the best deal you can. The other one I would say is look at alternative airports like the regional airports, because you can get through an airport so much quicker and the stress levels are so much lower. We're operating from Southampton this year as an alternative to London, and you can get through that airport in 15 or 20 minutes, whereas at one of the big London airports, it will take you at least an hour.
And is this a good time to go travelling at this time of year? I mean, we've all just had our Christmas breaks and work obviously don't want us to be off for too much longer, but is this a good time for people to go abroad?
Well, certainly if you've got preschool children or you've got time, this is a fantastic time to travel. There's some fantastic deals, and I would always recommend to shop around. One of the best ways to look at the best prices is a comparison site like skyscanner.net, because you can see a complete overview of what's available. And it also brings in some of the smaller foreign carriers and smaller operators from the UK. So I would recommend that.
And when we are travelling, once we actually get to the destination, what are some good tips for making sure we get the most out of our holidays? Because often I find when I go on holiday, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing the absolute most to make sure I'm getting everything out of it. And so what would you recommend to make sure that we are?
Well, I think do a little bit of work, research where you're going, research before you go. I mean, things like travel money, a lot of people exchange their money at airports and are paying huge premiums for that. So I think do research before you get to the resort, find out where you're going, find out what deals there are and what places to go and see. And then you don't have the last minute hiccups that you normally get.
And you sort of, we'll bring it back and sort of talk about the low cost of flights a little bit. Obviously you mentioned things like Skyscanner. It's a great way to find what is the cheaper alternative. But a lot of people can associate quite negative things with low cost airlines. And particularly recently, obviously security is very high on people's minds when it comes to flying and airports themselves. So why do you think that people have such negative associations with those low cost flights, and how can we look to change that perception?
Well, I think with regard to some of the low-cost carriers, that their own worst enemies, they keep changing things all the time, which causes stress. People get used to certain systems and they get used to the rules, and then suddenly the airline changes things again, and then you've got to relearn everything. And some of the rules are so complex these days. I think it's really one thing we try to do is keep everything simple, and if you can just keep the rules simple and have a rule-based system that doesn't rip people off, then I think that then creates a happy traveller.
Brilliant. And where can our listeners go for more information about all of this?
Okay, well, skyscanner.net is a good point for price comparisons. I would certainly look at our site, flylolo.com, and I would also look at the CEA site in terms of things to check about certain airlines.